Okay, so are we ready for chapter 1 of Turtle in Paradise? Before I get started on the first chapter, there is a part that the author put in that is the definition of the word conch, is how I say it. The first definition says any of various large spiral shelled marine gastropod mollusk of the genus Strombus. Definition 2, often capitalized when referring to a native or resident of the Florida Keys. So, the setting of this book is Key West, Florida, and the year is 1935. And you guys might remember, if you read Bud Not Buddy or The Mighty Miss Malone, that was the time period that we call the Great Depression. All right, chapter 1, June 1935. Chapter 1, Rotten Kids. Everyone thinks children are sweet as vanilla wafers, but I've lived long enough to know the truth. Kids are rotten. The only difference between grown-ups and kids is that grown-ups go to jail for murder. Kids get away with it. I stare out the window as Mr. Edgett's Ford Model A rumbles along the road, kicking up clouds of dust. It's so hot that the backs of my legs feel like melted gum, only stickier. We've been driving for days now. It feels like eternity. In front of us is a rusty pickup truck with a gang of dirty-looking kids in the back, sandwiched between furniture, an iron bed, a rocking chair, battered pots, all tied up with little bits of frayed rope, like a spider web. A girl my age is holding a baby that's got a pair of ladies' bloomers tied to its head to keep the sun out of his eyes. The boy sitting next to her has a gap between his two front teeth. Not that this stops him from blowing spitballs at us through a straw. We've been stuck behind this truck for the last few miles, and our windshield is covered with wadded bits of wet newspaper. Sounds like there's children sitting in the back of a truck, which is pretty dangerous. And they've got all this furniture, so maybe they're moving? I don't know. A spitball smacks the window, and Mr. Edgett hammers the horn with the palm of his hand. The no-good boy just laughs and sticks out his tongue. There ought to be a law. No wonder this country's going to the dogs, Mr. Edgett grumbles. Mr. Edgett, you can call me Lyle, has a lot of opinions. He says folks in the Dust Bowl wouldn't be having so much trouble if they'd just moved near some water. He says he doesn't think President Roosevelt will get us out of the Depression, and that if you give someone money for not working, why would they ever bother getting a job? But mostly, Mr. Edgett talks about a new hair serum that he's selling that's going to make him rich. It's called Hair Today, and he's a believer. He used the product himself. Can you see the new hair, Turtle? He asked, pointing at his shiny bald head. I don't see anything. It must grow invisible hair. Maybe Archie should start selling hair serum. If his pal Mr. Edgett's anything to go by, most men would rather have hair than be smart. Archie's a traveling salesman. He sold everything: brushes, gadgets, Bibles, you name it. Right now he's peddling encyclopedias. I could sell a trap to a rat, Archie likes to say, and it's the truth. Housewives can't resist him. I know Mama couldn't. It was last May, one day after my 10th birthday, when I opened the door of Miss Grant's house and saw Archie standing there. He had dark brown eyes and thick black hair brushed back with lemon pomade. Well, hello there, Archie said to me, tipping his Panama hat. Is the lady of the house at home? Which lady? I asked. The ugly one or the pretty one? He laughed. Why, ain't you a sweet little thing? I'm not sweet, I said. I slugged Ronald Curther when he tried to throw my cat in the well, and I'd do it again. Archie roared with laughter. I'll bet you would. What's your name, princess? Turtle, I said. Turtle, huh? He mused and stroked his chin. I can see why. You got a snap to you, don't you? Who's that you're talking to, Turtle? My mother called, coming to the door. Archie smiled at Mama. You must be the pretty lady. Mama put her hand over her heart. Otherwise, it would have leaped right out of her chest. She fell so hard for Archie that she almost left a dent in the floor. Mama's always falling in love, and she picks fellas like dandelions. One day, they're there, bright as sunshine, charming Mama, buying me presents, and the next day they're gone, scattered to the wind, leaving weeds everywhere, and Mama crying. But Mama says Archie's different. I'm starting to think that she may be right. He keeps his promises, and he hasn't disappeared yet. Even Smokey likes him, which is saying something considering that she bit the last fella that Mama was dating. Also, he's got big dreams, which is more than I can say for most of them. Mark my words, Princess, Archie told me. We'll be living on Easy Street someday. That sounds swell to me, but even I know there's got to be a few bumps on the way to Easy Street. I'm sitting right next to one of them. You're like little orphan Annie and her dog, Mr. Edgett says, eyeing Smokey, who's curled up in my lap. You know, Annie's dog. What's its name? How can someone have opinions on baldness and not know the name of little orphan Annie's dog? She's the most famous orphan on the radio and in the funny pages. You know, the dog that's always with her. I look out the window. The one that's always barking. Sandy, I say. Right, Sandy, he says with a pleased look. What does Sandy say again? Arf, I say. That's good. Sandy says arf, Mr. Edgett chortles. Does your cat say meow? I roll my eyes. What happened to your cat anyhow? He asked with a sidelong glance at Smokey. Has she got the mange? She got burned, I say, smoothing my hand over Smokey's ragged patches of fur. That why you call her Smokey? No, I say. The name came first. I still don't understand why you couldn't stay with that old dame, Mr. Edgett said. Place was a mansion. Looked like something Shirley Temple would live in. Shirley Temple is this kid actress everyone's calling America's little darling. She has dimpled cheeks and ringlet curls and is always breaking into song or doing a dance number at the drop of a hat. Everyone thinks she's the cutest thing ever. I can't stand her. Real kids aren't anything like Shirley Temple, and I should know, because Mama's the housekeeper. We get free room and board, which wouldn't be so bad, except the rest of the house usually comes with kids. And they're never nice to the housekeeper's daughter. There was a 12-year-old girl named Sylvia who gave me her old doll, and then she told her mother that I stole it from her. We didn't last very long at that house. And then there was Josephine, who told all the kids at school that it was my job to clean the toilets. Nobody would play with me after that. The worst, though, were the Curly boys, Melvin and Marvin. They thought it would be funny to light poor Smokey's tail on fire and watch her run around. Mr. Curly didn't believe me when I told him what his boys did, and he fired Mama on the spot. Like I said, kids are rotten. Mama promised that someday we were going to live in our own home, and we got to pick it out, too. It's in a Sears mail order house kit. The Bellwood Model 3304. This is what the brochure says. The Bellwood is another happy combination of a well laid out floor plan with a modern, attractive exterior. The design is an adaptation of a small English cottage. There's a living room, a kitchen, a dining room, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom that comes with something called a Venetian mirrored medicine case. I don't know what that is, but it sure sounds fancy. Still, we're a long way from living in the Bellwood. Mama says she's lucky to have a job with Miss Butnick, considering how tough times are. I don't know how lucky I am, though. Miss Butnick shook her head when Mama brought our things over to the house. You didn't say anything about a child. Children are noisy. I can't abide noise, Miss Butnick said, tapping her foot. I asked Archie if I could stay with him. Princess, he said, shaking his head, I live in a rooming house with a bunch of other men, and I don't think it's exactly the kind of place a young lady should be, if you get my meaning. So now I'm on my way to Key West to live with my mama's sister, Minerva, who I've never even met. Mr. Edgett, a pal of Archie's, and since he was already going to Miami to meet a fellow about hair today, offered to give me a ride. Also, he owes Archie a bunch of money. I guess hair today ain't exactly an overnight success. Mama thinks me going to Key West is a swell idea. You'll love it, baby, Mama told me. Mama's good at looking at the sunny side of life. Her favorite song is Life is Just a Bowl of Cherries. I blame Hollywood. Mama's watched so many pictures that she believes in happy endings. She's been waiting her whole life to find someone who will sweep her off her feet and take care of her. Me? I think life's more like the cartoon by Mr. Disney, The Three Little Pigs. Some big bad wolf always trying to blow down your house. Ahead of us, the pickup truck is swerving wildly. The kids in the back are clinging to the sides. What's that fella doing anyway? Said Mr. Edgett. I think the tire's gone flat, I say. A moment later, the pickup truck pulls off the side of the road in a cloud of dust. We slow down beside the truck. There's a worn-looking lady in the front seat staring straight ahead, and a drooling toddler asleep on her lap. The fellow behind the wheel is rubbing his eyes. Mr. Edgett calls out the rolled-down window. You need any help there, buddy? Do we look like we need any help? The boy in the back asked. Mr. Edgett shakes his head. Bunch of fools, this whole country, he says. We start to move again. I lean out the window looking back. The boy blows a spitball, but we're too far away now, and it falls short, landing on the road. So I think there's some things that we could research about during this time period. We heard about some places. We heard about some people and important events. So see if you can come up with something that maybe you could look up some more information about. And I hope you enjoyed the first chapter of Turtle in Paradise. What do you think is going to happen when she gets there? Let me know.